Lean in, radiant soul of Leo, do you feel it? The stir beneath your skin? The breath of something greater moving through your day? This isn't just another reading. This is a divine appointment. Because today, God is moving, not abstractly, not someday, but now. And He's moving in your life. This video isn't here by chance. You didn't scroll here because of an algorithm. You arrived here because something inside you called for confirmation. Maybe it was silent. Maybe it was loud. But the universe heard you. And now, it's answering. You, Leo, are a child of the sun. You were never meant to hide. You were born to lead, to illuminate, to be seen, not just by others, but by yourself, fully. But lately, something's been shifting, hasn't it? A quiet knowing. A sense that something, everything, is about to change. This is not your imagination. This is alignment. This is destiny touching your shoulder, whispering, "You're ready." So take a deep breath. Feel your chest expand. You've just stepped into a space where faith meets fire, where intuition meets clarity. This is eternal mindfulness, your sanctuary for cosmic wisdom and soul-centered growth. And today's message? It's one I believe you were meant to hear. If anything I've said so far has stirred something in you, drop an angel number in the comments right now, the first one that comes to mind. Or type, "I'm ready to receive." Not just because it helps us connect energetically, but because that one act of declaration can be the first step toward manifesting what your soul is craving. And before we move forward, let me take a moment to say, thank you. Truly. Thank you for your presence, for your spirit, for your time. Every like, every comment, every moment you choose to engage with this space brings you closer to the heart of our eternal mindfulness family. Your energy is the reason this channel exists. And your belief in something greater is what makes this sacred space flourish. And trust me, beloved Leo, you will want to stay until the very end today. Because what the universe is unveiling, it's bigger than clarity. It's deeper than signs. It's a message that might just shift the way you see everything, from your past, to your purpose, to your power. So, are you ready to receive what's been waiting for you all along? Let's begin. There comes a moment in every cycle when the momentum no longer pushes forward, but instead pauses, offering space for reflection. Not the kind of reflection that lives in our minds, but the quiet kind that echoes in our body, in our breath, in the silent knowing behind our eyes. That is where you are right now, Leo. This is not just another week or another astrological message. This is a threshold, a rare, perhaps once-in-a-generation turning point, where a vast 18-year cycle is preparing to close with a bow made of all your resilience. The World card doesn't simply speak of completion, it vibrates with integration. It doesn't ask you to celebrate what was perfect, it invites you to honor what was real. Every loss, every lesson, every thread of disappointment and discovery has been weaving something into the fabric of who you are now. And in this moment, you are not just finishing something, you are being returned to yourself, whole. The influence of Saturn and Pluto here is deeply meaningful. Saturn, the wise teacher, has no interest in shortcuts. It demands responsibility, self-honesty, and maturity. Pluto, the silent transformer, doesn't remove what you want to lose, it strips away what you no longer can carry. Together, their energy doesn't feel gentle, but it is deeply cleansing. And this is the gift you're being offered now, the ability to walk forward no longer haunted by old echoes. When life moves in this way, pulling your attention to the invisible threshold, you are not being punished. You are being prepared. Sometimes we think of endings as a kind of loss. But endings are simply nature's way of freeing up space. Like the tree that must shed its leaves, not in despair, but in reverence for the renewal it senses. There's a wisdom in knowing when to stop watering something that no longer grows, even if it once bloomed beautifully. What is dissolving in your life is doing so with purpose. In numerology, the number 9 holds the vibration of surrender. It marks the final stretch of a journey. But not just any journey, it's the quiet culmination of efforts made in silence, intentions carried through years, and soul growth that wasn't always visible. If something feels like it's slipping through your fingers lately, pause before you grasp tighter. What if it's not slipping away, but slipping off, like a cloak you no longer need? You may feel a slight ache in the heart during this time. That's okay. You're not meant to bypass it. You're meant to be with it, soften around it. Sometimes healing is not about doing more, but allowing yourself to be more present, with grace, with gentleness. When you let go with awareness, what you release becomes a teacher, not a weight. Now would be a powerful time to take a pen and write one sentence, I release, and complete it with whatever your soul whispers in that quiet moment. This isn't just journaling. It's a sacred pause. It's a conscious choice to step out of a loop you've outgrown. A gesture that honors the Leo you once were, and welcomes the one you are becoming. As you hold this space, remember, the end of a cycle is not the end of your light. If anything, it is when your light burns purest. There is no need to rush toward what's next. That will come. For now, breathe in the clarity that comes when you finally stop chasing and start arriving, fully, beautifully, as you are. Sometimes the most powerful form of healing doesn't arrive with noise or intensity. It comes quietly, like moonlight sliding across a still lake, gentle, undeniable, and full of presence. After the closing of a long chapter, your heart isn't being asked to leap immediately into the next story. It's being asked to breathe, to open again, not through effort, but through allowance. The energy you've stepped into now, dear Leo, is not about fixing or proving. It's about softening. It's about remembering what it feels like to be touched by hope. The appearance of the star card isn't just symbolic. It reflects a moment in time where your inner emotional landscape becomes the most fertile ground for transformation. The star is a mirror that shows you what is still tender inside you, not so you can harden against it, but so you can sit beside it. It's not here to pull you into grand gestures or forced optimism. It's here to remind you that the simple act of not turning away from yourself is one of the purest forms of love there is. With the moon casting its light through the emotional corridors of your chart, there's a heightened sense of vulnerability, but also clarity. You may notice feelings surfacing that you haven't let yourself fully feel in a while. Desires you've silenced, longings you've deferred. This isn't regression, it's restoration. Much like water knows how to find every crack in stone, emotional truth will always make its way through, gently eroding anything that was never meant to stay. This is a time to pause and reflect on the kind of love you truly desire, not just from others, but from yourself. What does it mean to be held, not just physically but emotionally? What does it mean to feel safe in your own presence? When you remove the noise, the expectations, the old patterns you've outgrown, what kind of relationship does your soul whisper for? For those already in a relationship, this is a moment to deepen the conversation. Not the one filled with strategy or plans, but the one that emerges in quiet vulnerability, when you simply ask, "How are you, really?" and then wait. Not to fix. Not to respond. But to witness. To offer the kind of space where true intimacy breathes. If you're single, don't underestimate the power of presence. Love isn't always something you have to seek. Sometimes, it arrives in the most unassuming form, through a glance, a shared silence, or a surprising sense of recognition. And often, it begins with how gently you treat yourself. There's wisdom in not rushing towards something new before you've fully honored the emptiness that preceded it. The energy of renewal today is supported by the color white, representing not just purity, but readiness. A blank canvas doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is possible. Wearing white, surrounding yourself with simplicity, or even choosing one small area of your life to cleanse can create room for something new to find its way to you. Space is not emptiness, it's invitation. There is a teaching that says the lotus grows best in still waters, not in rushing tides. In the same way, your heart does not need to be loud or dramatic to be open. It just needs to be available. The more you offer yourself quiet moments to reconnect, without needing answers, without needing promises, the more you become magnetic to what is real. Let this be a gentle reminder that healing is not a race. That love, the kind that nourishes, begins with acceptance. Not with what's next, but with what is. And right now, Leo, what is enough. You are enough. Just as you are. And something beautiful may already be on its way to meet you. There's something unmistakable about the moment when restlessness meets clarity. It's not confusion, it's creative tension. A gentle unease that signals evolution is near. You've outgrown something. Maybe it's a job, a routine, or even an idea of yourself that once felt comforting. And now, something new wants to emerge, not in the form of chaos, but as the quiet ignition of purpose. That flicker you're feeling? It's not burnout. It's the fire of becoming. It's the magician waking up inside you. In astrology, the magician isn't linked to a single planet, but to the balance of all elements, air, fire, water, and earth, because he channels them all. He is you when you align your thoughts, your passion, your emotions, and your actions into one direction. So if you're sensing a desire to shift course, know that this isn't random. It's alignment. The energy moving from the intellectual curiosity of Gemini to the intuitive depth of Cancer gives you both the idea and the feeling to move on it. You're not just thinking of reinvention, you're emotionally resonating with it. That sense of dissatisfaction with your current career path. It's not laziness or a lack of discipline. It's the wisdom of your inner world letting you know that what once fit no longer does. There is no virtue in staying in a role or an identity that no longer matches your frequency. In fact, One of the most courageous things you can do is to honor that discomfort and treat it not as a failure, but as feedback. You are being redirected, not rejected. When a seed begins to split open, it may look like destruction. But in truth, it's expansion. The roots grow downward, unseen. The stem reaches upward, unsure. That's what this moment is offering you. The discomfort of being in between, but the clarity that something new is already forming. You may not yet have the title, the plan, or the roadmap, but the intention is there. An intention, held with integrity, is more powerful than any 5-year strategy. Take a moment now. Ask yourself, what have you always wanted to create if fear wasn't in the equation? Is it a business? A book? A body of work that's been whispering through your imagination for months or even years? Write it down. Not the whole thing. Just the first letter. Just the seed. By naming it, even in fragments, you make it real. There's a quiet teaching that says, when you know the next right thing, don't wait to do the 10th thing. Just take the first step. Small actions become strong rituals. Strong rituals build strong foundations. And foundations, especially now, matter. You are not being called to leap blindly. You are being called to build intuitively. To reimagine your direction not with force, but with flow. The discomfort you feel is not a mistake. It is momentum. And you can use it. The same way wind moves flame, let your longing for something different fan the fire of your focus. Take inventory of the skills you already have, the experiences that shaped you, and let them become raw material, not evidence that you're stuck, but proof that you are resourced. This isn't about fixing your life. It's about finally allowing your life to reflect who you really are, beyond roles, beyond survival, beyond what others expect. And you don't need to wait for permission to begin. You are the magician now. And the tools you need are already in your hands. It's often said that change begins within, but in the realm of abundance, this truth becomes undeniably clear. Before money moves, energy does. And in this moment, the energy around you is shifting. What once felt stagnant may now feel like it's loosening. What once seemed out of reach might now feel like it's slowly turning toward you. This isn't coincidence. It's resonance. The material realm responds not to desire alone, but to alignment, and you, Leo, are beginning to align with a new level of receiving. As someone ruled by the sun, you naturally carry a presence that commands attention. But true abundance doesn't come from being seen, it comes from seeing clearly. That clarity begins with recognizing that lack isn't a curse or a reflection of unworthiness. It's a signal. An invitation to examine where energy has been leaking, where beliefs have been looping, and where habits have quietly shaped outcomes. The flow of prosperity you seek isn't blocked. It's being recalibrated. And the calibration begins with you. The Ace of Pentacles represents not only financial opportunity, but foundational shift. It's the moment when a seed is given, not a full-grown tree, but the possibility of one. And how that seed is tended to, through action, intention, and discipline, determines what it becomes. Opportunities are arising, yes. But they are also asking for partnership. This is not a time to wait passively. It's a time to participate fully. So take stock. Look at your relationship with money as if you were looking at a relationship with a person. Is it one of tension? Fear? Avoidance? Or is it respectful, curious, trusting? Like any relationship, this one requires nurturing. It requires communication. It requires honesty. And sometimes, it requires a reset. In this window, subtle signs may begin to appear, numbers like 30 and 86, receipts that carry a message, or a conversation that suddenly feels like a doorway. These are not superstitions. They are reflections. Reminders that energy is always trying to speak with you, especially when it comes to abundance. But are you listening? If you've been feeling financially anxious, the first step isn't to hustle harder, it's to pause and listen deeper. Real abundance flows not from overextension, but from rooted action. Sometimes, the most radical act of abundance is to say no, to overspending, to energy drains, to outdated narratives that whisper, "This is just how it is." It's not. Practical steps matter. Creating a clean, simple budget. Learning a skill you've postponed for too long. Reaching out to propose something that lives only in your head. These acts are more than smart moves. They are declarations to the universe, I am ready to participate in my own expansion. There's a quiet truth that what we hold on to too tightly begins to decay in our hands. So loosen the grip. Make space. Trust the law of return, that what you give out with clarity and intention will return with more than what was given. Not because of magic, but because of alignment. Abundance is not an accident. It's a rhythm. And rhythm always responds to movement. Begin moving, not chaotically, but consciously. Let your choices be rooted in wisdom, not fear. Let your intentions be bold, but gentle. And let your energy say, I'm available now. Write it if you need to. Speak it aloud. Let it settle into your breath. Money flows to me easily and joyfully. Say it 7 times before you sleep, not because the words are magic, but because repetition rewires belief, and belief precedes reality. This isn't about forcing wealth. It's about receiving it with readiness, and living as someone who knows their worth. Not one day, but now. Not everything that weighs on us is visible. Some things live quietly beneath the surface, like old words that were never undone, moments that fractured us in silence, or emotions we packed away because it wasn't safe to feel them at the time. And yet, here they are again, surfacing, not to punish, but to be witnessed. That's the space you're entering now, Leo. You've done the work of completing a cycle. You've opened your heart to healing and dared to imagine new beginnings. But before you can truly cross into that next chapter, there's one more step, release. The judgment card doesn't arrive to reprimand. It arrives to remind. It asks you to pause, not out of guilt, but out of clarity. What weight are you still carrying from a season that's already ended? Is it the memory of a goodbye that never came with closure? A disappointment you haven't forgiven yourself for? The echo of someone's opinion that still makes you shrink a little inside, even when you know better now? In the teachings of impermanence, it is said that clinging to what has passed is like drinking salt water. It only deepens the thirst. We think holding on gives us control, but in truth, it's what tightens the grip around our own freedom. Forgiveness, then, becomes less about making peace with another person, and more about making peace with the space inside you where pain has been quietly living. But let's be clear, this isn't about rushing to feel better or pretending to be over something you're not. It's about acknowledging what is true. And in doing so, you remove the veil. Because when light meets truth, healing becomes possible. Not as a performance. Not for anyone else. But for your own quiet liberation. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't even mean condoning what hurt you. It simply means choosing not to carry it anymore. And sometimes that decision isn't a grand event, it's a gentle whisper, "I've held this long enough." It might happen when you wake up and realize that thinking about them no longer stings. Or when you catch yourself smiling at a moment that used to bring tears. These are not accidents. They're signals that the grip is softening. There's a natural rhythm to release. Just like the trees do not yank off their leaves, they let them fall when the time is right. And when they do, the ground below becomes richer, more fertile. Your release, too, feeds what's next. Because only when your hands are open can you receive what's meant for you now. This phase invites you to do something sacred in its simplicity. Write the name of a person, a memory, a regret, and say, quietly or aloud, "I release you, and I reclaim myself." That one act, repeated with sincerity, can shift something deep within. Not because the other person hears it, but because you do. You may have been waiting for an apology, a gesture, or a moment to make sense of the past. But now, the power is being placed back into your hands. This is your moment to decide that you no longer need someone else to validate your healing. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are becoming. Your light, Leo, has never been dependent on someone else seeing it. And now, no one, not their memory, not their silence, not even your own doubts, gets to dim it. Not anymore. There's a quiet power in choosing to believe, especially when everything in the world tries to convince you to wait, to worry, to doubt. But not today. Not anymore. Because today, you've walked through the layers. You've looked at what needed to end. You've touched what still needs healing. You've listened to the fire within that craves something more. And now, you're standing at the edge of that sacred in-between, where faith meets possibility. You've outgrown the version of yourself that begged for clarity from things outside you. The version that thought being loved meant shrinking. The one that stayed silent to keep the peace. That Leo is gone now. What remains is someone ready. Someone whose story is no longer defined by the pain behind them, but by the light ahead. You've been shaped, not shattered, by what you've walked through. And that shaping was not for nothing. So take a moment right now. Really pause. Ask yourself, what if the miracle you're waiting for isn't ahead of you, but already moving through you? What if the shift has already begun, and all that's needed now is your permission to receive it? You don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to move fast or say the perfect words or prove that you're worthy. The universe isn't asking for performance. It's asking for presence. And if your heart is beating a little louder right now, that's your sign. This message was meant for you. Not yesterday. Not someday. Today. So if you feel that truth rising, let it out. Drop into the comments and write, "I allow the miracle to enter my life." Let that sentence be your permission slip. Your turning point. And then watch what begins to move in the next 48 hours, not because the words are magic, but because you are. Let this video be a marker in your journey, a soft but undeniable moment where you stopped waiting for your light to return and realized it never left. And if this message spoke to something real inside you, let it live beyond this screen. Tap like to affirm it. Subscribe to stay close to these reminders. Share it with someone who needs to remember their power. Every click, every comment, every quiet yes is part of the ripple. You are not alone. We are building something beautiful together. And Leo, one last thing, never forget, you were never meant to dim for the comfort of others. You were meant to shine so brightly that you light the way for those still finding their own fire. You don't have to roar. You just have to show up. And when you do, the world will feel it.